Hello and welcome to Get Started with Metal Clay, where I'm joined by the wonderfully talented Natalia Coleman. Natalia Coleman is her actual name. Hello, my darling.
Hello there.
I so love metal clay. It's one of my favourite things, as you know. Silver clay, bronze clay and copper clay. And today we are going to be touching on the bronze and copper clay.
We are, yes.
How easy is it, Natalia?
It's easy once you know how, and I know a lot of people have bought the kit or maybe thinking about buying the kit, but they're a little bit nervous about starting off. So this is what today's all about, getting people started with metal clay and having the confidence to make pieces themselves at home.
Fantastic. And before we actually get started with all of that and showing you the techniques and showing you how to use your tools, I'm going to launch the starter kit for you. We've got additions for that throughout the show as well, so do stay tuned for that. With your starter kit, you are getting two very important elements. You're getting your Prometheus clay. You're getting 100 grams of copper clay. Now, this 100 grams is what we're left with once we've fired, is that right? Or is it the weight of the clay as it's wet?
The weight of the clay as a clay weight.
Right,
yes.
Okay. Will that reduce when it's fired up?
It will, yes, because it consists of binders and water as well as the particles of copper and bronze clay. So what you'll find is once the water's evaporated and the binders are burned away, it will weigh less.
Okie dokes. So you get 100 grams of both the copper and the bronze, and they're going to go ever such a long way. You're going to get so much out of each one. We're going to talk to you a little bit about what you're going to be creating in a tick. So have a look on the diagrams, the pictures on the actual packets of clay itself. You've got those wonderful earrings in that copper, and that's exactly what you're going to be left with. I think a lot of people, Natalia, and I know myself included, kind of get confused by the word clay. I always thought it was very much like polymer clay, but with elements of real copper or elements of real silver or elements of real bronze, but that's not the case, is it?
Yeah, it's easy to imagine that it's just a copper-coloured clay or a bronze-coloured clay, but in actual fact it is precious metals. But it's advancements in technology that have enabled us to be able to extract the copper, to grind it down into particles, to add a special ingredient called a binder that binds it with the water and the clay and the metal particles, which then leaves it looking like a ceramic clay. And it acts like a ceramic clay as long as it's wet, and then when you fire it, it sinters together, all of the little particles melt together, and it becomes a piece of precious metal.
Which I absolutely love it for, and this is one of my most it's one of my favourite techniques in jewellery making, actually, because I think it's probably one of the most exciting. I think it's one of the most advanced techniques that you can do, and I think as a jewellery maker you really can create works of art with clay, and you know what, they always finish with that professional look. And I think if you are thinking about going down the road of creating professional looking jewellery, if you want to take yourself from a handmade jeweller to a jeweller, this is the kind of thing you can create. And I think that it's mind-blowing. I think that it's great that you can incorporate other techniques that you already have together with this kit. And with these techniques, I think it's just mind-blowing that you can create your own silver, copper, bronze. I absolutely love it. And you know, as you know, Natalia, and as you guys know, it's one of my things that I get super excited about. So let's get on and launch the kit. So you've got 200 grams of your clay, 2 packets of those. That's not everything you get. You literally get everything that you need to start creating. Now you've also got your gas torch. You need that to fire up your piece. You need to let it glow for about 18 minutes, is it, Natalia?
10 minutes.
Oh, so different to the silver. It's not as much as the silver.
It's longer than the silver. The silver, it depends on how you fire it. So yes, it would be longer if you did it in a kiln. But if you're blowtorch firing it would be 10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes. And are we going for a salmon pink here or an orange?
Oh no, we're going for a cherry red. So we're going for the colour that the barrel is on that torch in front of you, or even a bright orange. So as glowing, fiery hot as you can get it.
Okie dokes, which we'll touch on it again a little bit more later. Then you've got your firing block. So, Natalia, you place your item onto the block, your piece of jewellery onto the block, and you fire it on that block.
Yes, you do.
And that will withstand those heat temperatures.
It will. It's fire resistant, and you can see the thickness of the firing block. So you've got a really good distance between the top of that and the base of it, but it doesn't get hot in between.
I see, so it doesn't. So what else is in this box now? You also get, so you've got all of these elements so far. I've given you 200 grams of precious metal. You've got your torch, you've got your block. You also get your rolling pin, which is really important because it's got, it doesn't stick, does it, if you use the balm? You use the balm onto the rolling pin, the balm comes with, I've just used it as a little bit of lip salve a minute ago.
Yeah, it's all natural ingredients, that balm.
Yeah, that's why I love it.
It's olive oil, it's beeswax, it's calendula oil, and it's a bit of lavender as well, just to keep you calm while you're working.
I love the smell of it. I just think it smells amazing. And what you do, just rub it onto your roller, give it a little roll. Now you'll have your playing cards either side. And I love what you use your playing cards to level out your clay, and Natalia will show you exactly how to do that in just a tick. Now you also get your water brush, so if you start to dry out, you just dab a little bit of the water on there. Now I've got more clay over here, so you do get the 2 packs, don't you? Yeah. Now you've got your pick clean. Now your pick clean is from when you've fired everything up.
Yeah.
And you pop it in the pick clean and it gets rid of all the residue, is that right?
Yeah, what happens is oxygen is the biggest enemy of copper-based metals.
Okay.
So when you get it up to a certain temperature, it starts to develop, it starts to oxidize basically,
yes.
And it gets like a fire scale, like a crust on it. So what you need to do is you need to put your pieces into cold water as quickly as possible after you finish firing them.
I love the sizzle after that.
Yeah, that's right. It quenches the heat straight out of them, so that minimises the fire scale because the oxygen doesn't have time to get cold. But then the pickling, what that does is it just gets rid of any little traces of oxidised layer that may be on the pieces afterwards.
And so we mix this with water, the pickling?
Yes, you mix it with hot water, as hot as you can get it. And it depends, sometimes between 5 minutes and half an hour you need to leave your pieces in there.
Okie dokes. Now you also get the heat-proof mat, which is perfect for popping your pieces onto. And also, do you use this as a surface to roll onto, don't you?
I roll onto that one, yes.
You've got your block. Now, is this for cutting? Do you use this block for cutting, or do you use it again for rolling?
It's acrylic sheet, and I call it a snake roller. And basically what you can do is you can roll beads with it, you can roll the clay into little snake-like ropes and create different pieces of jewellery using that. You'll have seen, if you watch Debbie doing demos for the polymer clay.
She uses one of these,
yeah. So you use it a lot in clays.
Now, also, you've got your sanding blocks. Is this for after you've fired and you want to get rid of any of the oxidised layers and getting into the finer, more contoured pieces?
Well, you can use those both before firing and after firing. So before firing, when you've cut out your piece of jewellery that you're creating, you'll find that there are little ragged edges, there's the little imperfections on it, so you use them to sand and smooth away any of those imperfections. And then after you've fired the piece, if you wash the sponge out and use it wet on the fired piece, you can help to polish it.
Ah, so you just wash it out with regular soapy water or just regular water?
Just get rid of any kind of residue from the clay.
You've got a pair of tweezers in here. That's from taking them off the, what's the block called?
The firing grid.
The firing grid, and then into the water?
No, because they would actually melt if you did that.
Oh, because they're plastic, yeah, Jenny.
But the reason they're plastic is because we use those to take things out of the pickling, because the pickling's an acid, so you wouldn't really want to use metal tweezers.
Oh, so pickling. Oh, of course, OK. So you've got those. You've also got your sculpting tool.
That's an agate burnisher. So that's for polishing.
I thought this was for creating swirls. That's what I've used it for.
You can use it as a tool to make patterns in your clay. A lot of people, when they come on my workshops, they use it for cutting off pieces of clay. Yeah. So you can use it. It's kind of multi-purpose, but really it's great for using after you've fired your pieces to burnish, to bring a high shine to copper and the bronze clay.
I love all these tools that come with. Now you've got your cutter. Why is this particular cutter important? Because I remember you saying to me something about this. You need
just a really good little shape to have, and because when you're firing, you need to make the pieces quite small. You need to keep them the size of a 50p piece or smaller, because using a torch, it wouldn't be able to fire anything bigger than that.
Okay.
So having a little charm cutter like that in with the kit is excellent.
And what about this brush, this hard bristle brush? It's not for shoes, is it?
Well, you probably could use it for shoes, but it's perfect for polishing the pieces after you fire them. So once they've been in the Pick Clean solution, bring them out, and then they need to get a little brush over, and then you'll reveal the beautiful colour of the bronze or the copper clay.
Now also what I love about this kit, Natalia, is that you get everything in a lovely case that afterwards becomes your display case. So if you are selling jewellery on, and actually we've just been talking, haven't we, to the next door, we've got the business class going on. And we've been talking to Angela about how to display things and where to sell things, so that's really interesting. Have a look, all of this. All of these items, if you buy them separately, you'll be paying a different price to the price you're paying today. Look at everything you get here, and that's not everything, that's just most of the things. You haven't obviously got, you've got the case, the firing tool and the block. Also, you've got your Pick Clean, and we're gonna give you all of this. There we are. We're gonna give you all of this for one price tag of £64.95. Natalia, how much jewellery can we expect to produce from these 2 packets? I know you can replenish the packets, but you're not going to want to replenish everything, so we are going to give you opportunities to buy the clays separately. How much jewellery do we expect to create out of 100 grams of each?
Well, as a kind of general rule of thumb, I estimate you would use about 8 to 10 grams if you were making a pendant. So
okay,
if you imagine you could
grams.
make 10 pendants from 1 pack of clay.
Goodness
so
me.
It's got pretty good possibilities. And I made quite a lot of jewellery for Jewellery Maker's exhibition at the NEC, and I made everything just from 1 pack.
Goodness gracious me, you get so much. And when you think about it then, if you are making jewellery to sell as a business, it's important to know that you're going to make a profit. This is certainly a kit, I would say, that you can do that with. £64.95, and you've got enough to make 20 wonderful pendants. Now, be quick on those phone lines because I don't want anybody missing out on stock. 0800 644 655. You can also shop with us online. It's all the w's.jewellerymaker.com. When you buy from us here at Jewellery Maker, if you are a brand new customer, we'll give you a free tutorial DVD, a free step-by-step book, and a JM Hub magazine. Now also, please, if you are shopping online, check baskets out, because we can't ever guarantee stock. £64.95 is the price you pay for all of this. Now we've got 2 other items for you. If you're brand new to metal clay and you've never used it before, you could do one of 2 things. You can come through onto one of Natalia's wonderful workshops. Natalia runs her workshops on a monthly basis, and to get booked in, speak to Kirsty on that free phone number. Just give us a call and book yourself in. Now you can also get yourself Natalia's DVD. Now this DVD has been produced in the UK by Natalia. You've got 109 minutes in a tutorial on your clay, on your metal clay. Now, what can we expect to find on this DVD, Natalia, apart from your good self, of course?
Well, what I've done is I've filmed basically the equivalent of having a one-day workshop with me, and all of the techniques that I would cover in that workshop. So from opening your first packet of clay, conditioning it, how to roll it out, add texture, and then there are several projects on there. So I've made earrings, pendants, I show you how to make a veil. I also show you things like if you're into silver clay as well as copper and bronze clay, then how to combine silver clay with a copper or bronze piece of jewellery. So that's something that a lot of people want to know about, and it's all on there, including the firing in a kiln and with a torch.
So this is a specialised DVD put together, so we're recommending anybody who wants to get involved with metal clay to grab this specialised DVD, put together entirely for you by Natalia, who is our expert on metal clay. And at only £12.95. Think about how much you would pay for a day with Natalia. This is a way of doing it in your own home, uninterrupted. You can stop and start as you feel fit. £12.95. Don't forget, with everything you buy, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee. The item code that you need, IOIA22. One more item to give to you before we go on over to that luscious lady. And these have been put together by Natalia also. Now, let me just show you. You have got your stamps. Now, I've spoken to Natalia at length on these products because I am particularly interested in them. So I know I've picked your brains many times about clays. These animal prints, Natalia just wanted animal print. She wanted to be able to, animal print is always in fashion. Animal print is something that looks great against metal clays. And so Natalia was going out just trying to find these prints and she just couldn't find anything that hit the nail on the head. These are fabulous. Now, the fabric that Natalia has used, the rubber that Natalia has used, is some of the most expensive rubber you can get your hands on. And the reason Natalia has used that expensive quality rubber is because of the way it doesn't adhere to the silver, and because of the way it transfers its print, and because of its durability. And is there anything else I'm missing there, Natalia?
Yeah, it's the thickness of it, because you can use it with polymer clays and you can actually put the rubber stamp complete with the polymer clay through the clay rolling machine. And
yes.
So it's a really good way of doing that.
Can you put silver or metal clay through a roller machine or not?
You can, but you wouldn't really need to because polymer clay is a lot harder, and you're working with a much smaller piece of clay here.
Okay.
So. But what you can do is you can create a reverse texture. So if you take a piece of polymer clay, roll it out onto one of those texture mats, take the polymer clay, trim it down, and then bake it. Then you have the reverse image, so you can use that as another texture. Yeah.
And can you use that on your clay then, on your metal clay?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. How fab is that?
You've got endless possibilities with it.
Now you've got this tool here. Does that come with the kit or is it with this?
Does
it come with this?
It comes with that. Yeah.
And why do we need this tool?
Well, that's a double-ended tool, so it's a cutter, and also then you've got a little forming attachment on the end of it, so you can use that for pressing two pieces of clay together. You can create texture with it. You can mix it to a paste using that, so it's like a precision tool but double-ended.
How fab is that? It's like something from the day. I shouldn't play with that double-ended tool with that blade on it.
Yeah,
now you've also
sharp.
Sorry.
It's nice and sharp.
Yeah, they looked it and I just thought, woo! Hey up, Jenny Cleary with. Now have a look. Is this a bead reamer, is it, or not? Is it something different?
That's what I call a clay pick.
A clay pick?
Yes.
Why do we need a clay pick?
Well, you'll see once I start demonstrating how we actually use the clay in action, that it's great for picking up excess clay. It's also great for making holes in the clay, and you can use it across lots of different mediums. You can use it for scouring, sort of gouging bead centres. You can use it for making holes in jewel enamels and
ready for you to bail.
Yes.
Okay, so we got all of that. Now, the other interesting thing, Natalia's put these together herself, are the templates. So we've got all of these. Now, it's also important to note that Natalia has not only given you the template here, but she's also given you the cutouts. The reason for you giving the cutouts was what? Because I know there is a method behind the madness here.
Well, I always wanted a template so that I could cut different shapes, and I wanted the triangles and the oval shapes because you tend to be able to get squares and rectangles and circles, but you can't seem to get hold of the ovals and the triangles. So that was one thing. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could actually make a little well inside the clay, so that I could fill that with resin, jewel enamel, or I could put gem art into it. And, but I need the little shape that's slightly smaller than the one that I cut out.
Just ever so slightly, because you just want to create that frame, don't you?
Exactly.
So it's perfect. Just push it a little bit further in, pick it out using your pick.
Yes.
And you've got that little well. So now you can you can start filling it in. So that's really important. Now it's important for you to note that actually this was put together specifically to work with this metal clay by Natalia, our expert. So actually they all go hand in hand with one another. If you want to create something gorgeous, if you want to transfer a pattern from that rubber stamp to your metal clay, this is the way to do it. All for one price tag, 0800 644 655, and that price tag for you, £26.95. Now let's not waste another second of our time. I want to get over and meet that luscious lady and show you exactly how to start creating those pendants, those rings, those earrings. I just can't wait. I'm getting over there. Come on with me now. when we're working with clay, we're working with a medium that might be completely alien to anything else that we've used at all. So Natalia's here on hand to show us right from the beginning, Natalia. Where do we go?
Where do we go? Well, let's open the clay. Shall we see what it looks like?
Yes.
So this is what the bronze clay looks like.
Wow.
And I'm going to bring it out of here so I can show
it's
you.
airtight in there, Natalia?
It is. It actually needs some scissors to open it.
Okay.
So I'm just going
is it important for it to be airtight when you store it?
Well, yeah, because you know, it means that you can keep this until you actually need it, and it's not going to go off. It's not going to go hard. So until you start working with it, then you're rest assured that it's going to stay nice and supple.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm going to pinch some off so you can see it, and you'll notice when I open the copper clay that there's a distinct difference in colours. So that has a khaki kind of
it's got a shimmer to it,
browny colour. Yeah, it does. And the difference between the copper clay and the bronze clay is this. It's quite simple. The copper clay is 100% copper, so it's copper particles ground down and then suspended in binders and water. And the bronze clay is 90% copper, 10% tin. So that's the composition.
And does that give it a hardened? Does it make it more more?
That just gives it a completely different look.
Okay.
So, and as you can see,
now what are you doing right now?
So what I've done is I've taken some cling film.
You've got quite a few layers of cling film now.
I have, because I find that sometimes if you just do one layer of cling film when you're kneading, that you poke holes in it, and then you end up, you know, getting clay all over your hands.
Absolutely.
So I tend to wrap the clay over 3 or 4 times, so I get a really nice layer of thick cling film. And then, just like you would, if any of you work with polymer clay already, or you're planning on working with polymer clay, what people will always tell you to do is to condition the clay first, because it's in the pack.
So manipulate it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit like kneading bread, really. And particularly important for the bronze clay. And I've had people who follow me on Facebook and have asked me questions, and I've had some people say, you know, I've made my clay pieces, I've dried them out, fired them, and then they just crumbled after I fired them.
And why is that?
And that is a sign of the binders not being distributed properly through the clay.
Okay, so it's about particles, and it's a bit scientific actually, isn't it?
It is, because the binders are what keeps the piece together. And it's important to make sure that you have got everything
even
worked
distribution
through, yeah, and so that you get a really solid piece of metal. It's also really important to fire it long enough and hot enough. So it's those 3 things. If you're not firing it long enough, you're not firing it hot enough, or you haven't conditioned your clay.
Okay,
those
so
are all red flags that things that could go wrong.
Natalia, you're on board to answer questions when you're here in the daytime and on Facebook. Can I just ask you a really what might be a stupid question? What happens if I get the clay on my fingers? Can it be dangerous? Can I do anything about it? Does it matter?
It does matter, yes. It's really important that you don't, because you know, if you're having food, or if you, after you finish working with the clay, you end up, you know, putting your hands in your mouth for whatever reason we do, because you will ingest metal, which is not healthy. And there isn't anything harmful in this, but obviously having metal in your system, it's not good. So
it's not recommended. It's not one of your 5 a day, is it, Natalia?
One of your 5 metals a day.
Today I've had mercury. Don't do that, because that's poisonous.
I always keep on hand some baby wipes. And,
okay.
and
any baby wipes will do.
Any baby wipes will do at all. And so, you know, for no reason other than if you let the metal clays sink into your hands and into your nails, it will turn them a blue colour eventually.
We don't want that.
It's really good to be able to, you know, just give your hands a quick wipe like that. So that's a really good question. Clean. Nobody's actually ever asked me that, so that's the first, and that's a really good question. Well, that's the first thing I thought, and I think as a mother, we do have to ask these questions. Yeah, definitely. What happened, you know, if it's on the side and it's picked up, and you know, so it's just a simple baby wipe. Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see what you have with the bronze clay. For some reason, the bronze clay has this wonderful consistency, really soft and smooth, really lovely to work with. Squidgy, like a dough-like consistency. And what I would say is, just be careful to use your clay whilst it's moist, because one thing I have found, and I have to be honest about this from my experience, is when you add water to it, it starts to misbehave, it starts to have some very strange qualities, it starts to look a bit bubbly on the texture, and I've had some issues with firing. So it's not great at being hydrated. And so it's all right to use your water pen
tiny bits of dabs here and there.
Yes.
But actually what you want to do is manipulation, and the storage is very important. Actually, speaking about baby wipes, you've got to store your clay properly in order for it to not dry out. Now, clay can last a couple of years if it's stored right. Is that correct?
So now that's open.
Yeah.
Obviously the air's getting to that, so that's drying. It won't dry as fast as silver clay, so anybody who uses silver clay, you'll find you've got a lot longer working time with the bronze clay. How long have we got
until that dries out?
I would say probably about 24 hours.
Oh, so it's not something we open it and then we think,
you have to panic.
No.
So what I would do is I would keep it in this plastic packaging because it's very good for that. And then I would just fold it over. And I would put it in an airtight container.
No, you're not cling filming that after folding it, it's all right. Okay.
As long as in an airtight container you put a damp baby wipe or a piece of J cloth that's just wet, and then it will stay nice and like a little hydration chamber for it. So
so keep it nice and moist, and it can keep like that for a while.
The other key is, because I've only taken off a small amount, you can see you've got tons
Don't take it all out and put it back in.
Absolutely, only work with what you need, and that's one thing that I stress so much on the workshop is to just pinch off the amount you need, make that thing, move on, get some more, get fresh clay.
Yeah, because I think in jewellery making a lot we always say, don't worry about taking loads and loads and loads, there's nothing worse than running out. But actually, with clay, that you don't need to do that. You just take what you need because you don't want to over-manipulate.
That's right. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is I need to show you the copper clay. So that's in this packet. I've already opened it up. And I'll show you the difference in colour, so you will never get confused. You will never get confused and thinking, oh, what temperatures, what firing times do I need? Because they are so different. So
now this is a lot firmer, isn't it?
This is more, to me, like the consistency of shortbread. You know when you're mixing shortbread? And it's a little bit crumbly.
More dense,
yeah. And so it's not as soft. So if you try and press that...
I'm all right with it on my hands, aren't I?
Yeah, we'll give you a baby wipe afterwards. So it's quite tough. And again, so only pinch off the amount that you need. So I'm just going to take off a little bit of that. I've already been making stuff with that for our demos. It's kind of like gingerbread mixture or terracotta.
You're making me hungry. It's terracotta. Yeah, terracotta.
Yeah, I like to use food analogies where I can. I think it's quite nice.
Do you know what it's reminding me of? I'm so dumb. Clay.
Clay. Yes. That's a good analogy.
I'm so stupid that I even surprise myself on a daily basis. Do you know what I mean? Honestly.
It's okay.
Honestly, it's like clay. Yeah, it's clay.
So what I'm doing is I've just taken some cling film. It's a little bit sticky, this cling film.
Any old cling film will do, or is it going to be specific?
Any old cling film. It doesn't have to be any particular brand or type.
Sorry, I just had to smell it. I've got that thing.
It smells metallic, doesn't it?
It does, actually,
It's quite unexpected. You expect it to smell of sugar and cinnamon and things like that, but it's... So in order to get this to the state that we need it to be workable, this is liquid glycerin.
I didn't know you could even buy liquid glycerin.
When I first started out with the clay, I was hydrating with water, which does work. But what I found was, having looked on discussion forums and really researched what people were doing all around the world to get the best out of these copper clays, was that that liquid glycerin was very good for that.
Sorry, I was just getting rid of the brand so we could show everybody.
That's good. So
glycerin, you can put that on. It's actually quite good for the skin, isn't it? Glycerin.
It's really good, yeah, and you can get it in all chemists. You just, sometimes they have it behind the counter. You have to ask for it. And it's not very expensive.
Most of my cosmetics glycerin.
Less than £2.
Really?
But you want the non-scented type. You don't want the one that you use in cooking. So this is.
I didn't know you did cook with glycerin.
Oh yeah, you can do all sorts of glycerin. Yeah. So all I'm doing is literally I'm putting 3 or 4 drops of it.
What is she doing? Hang on a minute. Do we do this every time we use?
Every time you use a fresh piece of copper clay.
Not with any of the other clays.
Don't need to do it with the bronze clay.
We need to start selling glycerin then, don't we?
Well, people can get hold of it quite easily in the meantime, but and then what we're going to do is just fold that over.
Massage it in.
And massage it in. So it does take a little while, and you need patience with this, because if you want to have pieces of jewellery that are really good, then you're going to have to put a bit of elbow grease into it. And one of the ways that I find is easiest to work the glycerin through the clay is to actually just pop it under the cling film and then use your rolling pin to do it. So you can see
it's trying to resist, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's quite hard. So I have a piece that I've done, because you don't want to watch me doing that.
No, once we've seen it in one action, we've seen them all.
And so that's the difference. And you can see it's quite glossy now that
yes, it is, isn't it?
And it's much more like the consistency of the bronze clay. And so you will find that you will have much better results by doing that. And it's kind of like a secret ingredient. And then we find these things out, don't we? And it's wonderful when we do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to make a piece of jewellery, and I'm using the Teflon sheet to roll out onto because you get a lovely non-stick mat to roll onto, and I'm also using 6 playing cards. I've got 2 piles of 6 playing cards. I'm propping them up onto my Teflon sheet.
Okay.
Because if I put them by the side of the Teflon, then I'm actually raising the height of the cards. So
because you're using the Teflon, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it would only be 5 playing cards.
And probably the cards are going to go everywhere.
Yeah, possibly. Now, you don't need to, but I always do.
Pop it on.
You need to put a bit of your favourite balm on there, Jenny.
Honestly, I love this. It goes...
It's lovely.
It's my lip balm.
It lasts for ages. You know, this pot, I've been using it in all my workshops, and look how much I've got left.
Not for much longer.
And I do a lot of... You're going to be using it. I do a lot of workshops.
Want to kiss me now?
You're adorable, and even more so now you've got that on. So I'm going to pop our copper clay onto there. Move your balm out of harm's way, and then just start rolling our copper. And what we're looking for is the clay to have a nice smooth surface. So can you see we've got the odd little crack around the outside, but generally that's really nice and smooth, quite a tight consistency of clay.
Yes, it is. It is, isn't it?
If you've got lots of crackles in it, then squidge it up, start again. Because
sorry, I have my head right in looking in there and I got myself in the way.
And I'm going to use one of the textures, so shall we use... What have you used?
Always
zebra.
Yes!
Zebra is always fun to use.
Seems as though I'm totally taking the piece of jewellery that you're going to create. I would...
Is this a creation for Jenny by any chance?
Always, darling, always.
So what I do is move my cards out of the way because it's a lot easier for me to do it this way.
Okay.
And so you notice I put a bit of balm onto the texture because your clay will stick if you don't. And you can also, if you get a cosmetic sponge and put a little bit of olive oil on and rub it on, that's another way of doing it as well. So then, what I do is I just use my fingers to press it in, and I'm pressing quite firmly because this clay is quite a tough consistency.
Can you use your roller over the top or not?
I wouldn't advise it because what tends to happen there is you tend to kind of move, and then you get a double.
Oh, you get a bit of a blurry one. Yeah. Okay. So again, using your thumbs.
Manipulating, yeah, and then top tip, hold on to the edge of your texture. Yeah. Just lift. Do you know what this is like? Now, you've never had a boy, but I have. I don't know whether... This is like the removal of a temporary tattoo. Oh, really? Which I do a lot. Wrestling tattoos every weekend. Yeah, I never had that with my daughter. She's not into the tattoos. Not yet, she probably will be. And now you can see... Oh, it's amazing. Look at that. Oh, I love it. Oh, look at that. That looks really good, How wonderful. And then we can decide which bits of the texture do we like, which bits do we want to capture. So I've got some cutters here. I'm going to use a little circle. Okay, or you can use bigger. This is an ideal shape to use because if you think of the size of a 50p piece, that's perfect. It is? So that's within firing limits. Brilliant. So within firing limits, you mean you can't really fire anything that's larger with the tool that you've got in our kit? You can get away with just slightly bigger, only millimetres bigger. Natalia, what if you were at home and you were working with your gas hob? Could you fire larger pieces then? No, a gas hob is not big enough and not hot enough to do copper and bronze clay. So you can do silver with your gas hob. You can do silver with your gas hob because silver is a much more elegant metal in terms of firing. It doesn't demand as much heat as the copper and bronze clay. So I've got my clay pick, so you can see where the pick comes in because it literally picks the clay. And what are you going to do with the rest of that now? I'm going to pop that in some cling film. Because you could make a pair of those. What are we making with this? Is it a pendant? Well, these could be. So this kind of little shape, it's like a little ingot, isn't it? And that could be... These are 2 words you've taught me today. This could be like a little talisman for a man's necklace. This could be a little charm on a bracelet. This would make perfect earrings, would be really good. So I like these little cufflinks. Cufflink. We're obsessed with cufflinks, aren't we? Yeah. So we could make a pair of those, indeed we could. Now, at this point, we can make a hole in the clay whilst it's wet. We can also make a hole when it's dry. It's up to you how you do it. But if you want to do it at the...
I've got a question, sorry.
Yeah?
If we...
You're putting your hand up. I feel like
I do have to put my hand up because you were talking. It would be rude not to. Right, now, if I wanted to make a said cufflink and I had my own silver attachment, would I put it in before I'm firing up, or would I have to glue it on?
You wouldn't be able to use a silver attachment because
it would melt.
It would melt, because silver...
So what would I use in place of that? Or would I wait until afterwards and glue it?
Yeah, you could glue it or you could solder it on.
Solder it on?
Yeah.
Right, OK, thank you. Sorry, as you were. Sorry.
Yes. Or you could leave holes in a wire. So do some wire wrapping.
Perfect.
So,
yeah.
so you know there are ways and means of doing it. There's a cold connection.
Could you connect like a little jump ringy type thing at the back?
Yes, you could. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. You can get hold of embeddable findings like that. So you can put like a little eyelet.
We need to do these. We need embeddable items.
I'm sure we will. You know, start to stock up on things like that. So if you wanted to just have a hole for a jump ring, this is what you do. So you use your clay pick, and then you just. Usually about ½ centimetre in from the top of the piece.
OK, so there.
So there.
Do you give it a wiggle?
Just in and out,
tiny.
Very clean. And then what you can do, when the clay's dry, you can actually use a little screwdriver and to make that hole bigger.
Yeah.
But if you wanted a bigger hole, so say I wanted to put a piece of cord through there, something more substantial.
A straw.
The very fine straws that you get are really great for making holes in the clay. So make sure you cut your straw straight, which I haven't done at that end, but I have done at that end. So we'll use that end, and you literally just go through the clay.
Yeah, because some straws finish at an angle, don't they? Yay!
Yeah. And so sometimes that doesn't actually come out. So then you can get your clay pick and you can
pick
just
it
pick it out.
Okay.
Which is why you
that
need
was
a clay
just
pick.
fluke. That was a fluke.
And then, depending on whether you're a lady or not, you can go and split the end of the because you've got
we're not ladies.
We're a precious metal clay in the end of that. Yeah, so we won't worry about that. I'm sure there's plenty of ladies that do. So there you go. That's your piece done. And so you would leave that to dry out. And so the drying of the clay is really important to talk about at this stage, Jenny, because you can't fire this until it's absolutely 100% dry.
No, I never knew that.
Well, any little bits of moisture still within the clay, when they get to a certain temperature when you're firing them, usually about 200 degrees, which is quite quick when you've got the torch pointing at it, those little pockets of moisture will find the easiest exit out of the clay. Okay. Usually it's wherever there's a hole.
Bubble?
Yeah, so you get a blister or it may even explode. So I've had that happen to me in the early days when I was first learning silver clay.
Do we need to wear goggles when firing?
Yes. Ideally, go and invest in a pair of goggles, have some kind of eye protection.
We should provide those in our kits. I'll put it to everybody.
But you can get them so easily in your local
DIY
store. I
like the idea of being a bit of a mad scientist in my kitchen with all of this.
I worry about you when you say things like that, because you are kind of already a mad scientist. So, you know, you're just taking it further with some kind of fiery torch.
I wasn't allowed in science, you know that. I really wasn't. I had to do my work in the...
good at science.
I had to do my work with my tutor from a textbook. Yeah. Because I get obsessed with mixing things that explode.
Do you know what? I never really listened in science, and I really wish I had. I was the one that was always doodling in the back of my exercise book. But I love learning all about all of the things that go on in the process of making this clay in the firing and after firing. So it's been very important for me to understand the chemistry behind this.
I think it is, and it's fascinating. Actually, I think teachers now are brilliant at all this, aren't they?
Making it more interesting and relevant, isn't it? If somebody said to me, Natalia, you're going to be making jewellery in the future, you need to listen. And I've got okay, I'm so got my thinking head on. So in terms of drying, you can allow that to dry for 24 hours at room temperature. So it's got to be room temperature, not in a cold room. Like I have a conservatory that has no heating on, so that wouldn't be good. You need to make sure that you put it in your kitchen or somewhere where there is heat. Is there a quicker way, because I'm impatient? Yes, I'm very impatient. Because I'm really impatient. I can't wait a day. I'm so impatient, it's not true. Okay, good. So what I do is you can either put... So you could take this and you could put it on top of a radiator, so there's direct heat coming from underneath. Okay. I have a little cake tin at home, and I just pop that inside the cake tin and put it inside the oven. Airing cupboard? Oh, airing cupboard, 80 degrees on an electric oven, or if you've got a gas oven on your plate warming setting, the half setting. Not the microwave? Not the microwave, because this is metal and microwaves don't like metal. Oh yeah, they don't. I remember that from when I put my phone in the microwave. And you would actually be cooking it in a microwave, so it's not a good idea. But I'm glad you asked that, because you wouldn't be the only person that maybe that thought. I wouldn't look at that and I would say it's not metal yet. It would have gone in the microwave. You can use a hairdryer. So if you want to stand there for 10 minutes,
isn't it?
plate warmers, you know, anywhere that's nice and warm.
Natalia, how do we tell if it's dry?
Well, what you can do is I've got some pieces here that have dried, so I've got various different
Sorry,
ones.
I tapped it because I couldn't help it.
Yes, you can feel what it's, you know, it's very tactile, these clays. I know we said we
You know, I told you about what I did with my teeth when I was little, haven't I? With a glass. No. We'll talk about it another time. That I basically tried to test the texture of something that was glass and it was shattered in my mouth.
Oh no! We all do silly things like that, don't we? I cut a chocolate across my palm with a razor blade and consequently went right through the chocolate.
Jewellery Maker does not condone doing that.
I was 8 at the time, but
Jewellery Maker does not condone 8-year-olds on their own with razor blades. Let's have
yes, that terrible mother of mine. So anyway,
okay.
So what we've got is these pieces have dried, and you know you can feel they're dry, but how do you tell they're dry? Well, if you put them onto a mirrored surface. If you get some, you know, if you breathe onto a mirror and you get like a little halo, a little frostiness, then you know that you'd be able to tell. Oh,
because otherwise it absorbs the moisture, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. Right, let's get going. Okay. What do we do next?
So then the next thing is these haven't got holes in them, so I'm going to show you how to drill a hole
at the dry stage. Will it not crack?
Well, it could do if you're not careful.
That's the risk of it. That's why it's better to do it before, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just doing it very gently, and this is a little hand drill. So I saw the demonstrations of the Dremel the other day, and with the Dremel you can actually put the hole in after it's fired. So that's a good thing to do if, like me, you've made a piece and you've forgotten to put holes in. It's not the end of the world because you've got...
Because you can do it afterwards.
Yeah. So you'll see what's happening there, Jenny, is that the like little dust, copper dust coming through the hole.
What do we do? Just blow it away, brush it away?
Yeah, and then you can see I've gone all the way through, and then we've got a little hole for our finding. Perfect.
Perfect.
Right. And you can usually tell at that stage when you're drilling the hole as well whether it's dry enough, because it starts to bend and flex because it's a bit wet inside. So now we are at the stage where we can finish the piece. So I'm just going to get some of the sponge sanding pad. So this is mine's a slightly different colour.
Pre-firing. We're still at pre-firing here.
So you want to do all your tidying up, any kind of changes in shape or any kind of sanding and smoothing before you fire it, because it's a heck of a job afterwards, because it's solid metal.
Right,
and copper's a lot harder than silver. And what I'm going to do is, you can see it's a bit craggy where I've cut the piece out. Yeah,
another word.
It's a good word. Because it is
a wee bit craggy.
Craggy, yeah.
Sounds a bit Scottish, that.
And I like to, where I've got sharp edges, I always like to do like a little beveled edge.
Oh, that noise.
Making my teeth go funny. Oh. I'm so used to hearing it because this is my life. I spend most of my time sanding things.
Do you know, I used to own a nail bar, and I used to be like that.
The other thing I like to do is to just give, when I've got a texture like that, just give the surface a little sand, just to make Jenny a little bit more on edge. Jenny, how could you cope being in my kitchen all the time?
It's making my teeth feel funny. It's only since I had my teeth done. It's making them go tingly.
And then you want to concentrate on the back as well, because we want the back to be... I'm not, this is just part of the travails of working with copper and bronze clay. So what we're going to do is just do a little bit on the back, because we want that to look really smooth and lovely. Now, if you have a piece like mine, I'm just going to show you this one. Look what's happened there. We can zoom in. So I hadn't conditioned my clay properly. And when I made this piece, I didn't look at the underside of it, and you can see it looks a little bit like the equator, you know, where it's all really dry and there's big cracks in there. And so what I would do is I'd take a little bit of copper clay, I would mix it with a little bit of water to make a paste and smooth that like a grout into the cracks.
So you can do that?
Yeah, and it finishes it beautifully.
Oh.
And so when you have cracks, these can often open up when it's being fired into a bigger crack.
Okay.
So they can actually expose something that you don't want to and can ruin your piece. And plus, everybody turns the pieces over and looks at the back, so we want it to look as good as the front.
If I do that, do I then have to go back and dry it all over again?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I know I'm asking stupid questions,
no, it's
but
a
I've
good
just
question. It's
not seen you do this before.
So once we've done all of that refining, we've got holes where we need them. And we now have a piece that is ready to be fired. So I'm going to go and get all of my firing equipment ready, and we're going to fire live on air.
We can't wait for that.
Are you new to Jewellery Maker? Would you like to try a new hobby? Then why not give us a call on 0800 644 655 and we'll send you a free copy of our DVD and booklet to help you get started. You don't even need to make an order. Get involved with Jewellery Maker.
If for any reason you're not satisfied, you have the benefit of our no-quibble 30-day money-back guarantee. Just complete the returns form enclosed with your goods and send them back for a full refund.
If you have a question or query for Jewellery Maker, then you can contact our call centre on 0800 644 655 and press option 2. Or alternatively, you can email help@jewellerymaker.com.
You can now watch clips from Jewellery Maker on our YouTube channel. Get interactive with Jewellery Maker. Keep in touch by liking Jewellery Maker UK on Facebook. Get interactive with Jewellery Maker.
Okay, so we are ready to fire that pendant Natalia's already made. I'm jealous of your glasses that you're wearing there.
Like my eyewear?
This is what I'm talking about. I think you should be wearing a little white coat.
Yes, I ought to bring one in, especially for when I do
yes,
this.
Indeed.
What I've done is I've placed my dry piece of copper clay on top of the firing brick, and you do this with the bronze clay as well. The same firing goes for the bronze as the copper.
So directly onto that block. There you go. Okie dokes.
And then what I've done is I've taken the gas torch and I've filled it with some butane gas. So you can see...
Where do we get this from? Camping stores, things like that?
DIY shops. Comes in a canister like this, and what you're looking for is, don't worry, there's nothing... Don't worry yet. It has this little attachment at the top there, which underneath, can you see you've got...
Like the lighters I used to light my candles with.
Yeah, and so you turn that upside down. I'm trying not to turn my torch upside down because I don't want to.
You can get this in that big pound store.
Yes, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So you press that. So imagine this is my gas torch. So you push that against the element underneath the gas torch. Yeah. And you press it down, and then you'll feel when you're holding the barrel, you can feel it getting cold because you can feel the gas transferring from the canister into the chamber. So I try not to move the torch around too much because what it can do is it can
disturb it, just like like anything with gas in it. You don't want to.
So just lighting the torch.
You have no idea of me and chemicals and fire and what bad things can happen. So I'm just going to step away because I am the world's most accident-prone person.
And what I'm doing is I'm turning the torch quite high up because we want a really strong flame. And it would be really good if we could actually have the lights down in the studio. Is that possible? So I can show the colour that we need to achieve.
Absolutely,
and we can show the binders burning away.
Anything for you, my darling. Now, Natalia, when I pick this up, is it going to burn me?
No.
No, it's not. That's true. And you're fiddling with the top of this?
Yeah, because I'm just changing the intensity of the gas.
Okay.
The temperature. So if we could have the lights down, I'll start the firing.
Thank you.
So what's going to happen now is if you stand back
like murder
a little
in the dark, isn't it,
Jenny, because you've got your hair down. So I'd always advise you to put goggles on and to tie any long hair back. If you've got a pinny on and you've got any kind of, the cords from the pinny, or sometimes I have sleeves that, sometimes a little bit long. So I'm coming in quite close. Can you see it's starting to smoke? You can come a bit closer. And that's the binders burning away that flame.
Ooh, are our smoke alarms going to go off, Scott?
Can you see that? That's the binders. So we've already had the moisture has evaporated.
Wow. Oh my gosh, it's starting to go charcoaly.
Yeah.
Does that happen before it goes red?
Well, we can't see the red because we've got the lights on the studio, so if we could put them down again, that would be great. And then I can just show you the colour.
Yeah, we need to see that. It's important, Scott.
So can you see how I'm rotating the torch? And can you see it's glowing that bright cherry red?
Yes.
Can you see how the blue of the flame is, of the torch is quite close to the piece?
Yeah.
And so you're looking to achieve that colour all the way
Oh my gosh,
through.
it's going... seriously, you can't see this. It's glowing. It's amazing. You definitely don't want to be touching that with a naked finger. That
so
is amazing.
You can actually see the colour that you want it to be. It's cherry red, bright red.
Wow.
And do not let it go. So if I back away, you can see it starts to change colour.
Can we see that on screen? Are you seeing that? Isn't it amazing?
You see it starting to go grey, like a grey colour. That's not what you want. So just keep doing that and circulating the flame all the time, all around the piece. So this is, to me, the most important bit. Sorry, my torch has gone out.
How long have you just done that for, Natalia?
Only a minute or so, because I don't want to stand here for 10 minutes with the torch.
Right, okay.
So,
yeah, but normally, at home...
Yeah.
Right, now we'd have a big bowl of water and we would go with it.
I use a pair of, these are tongs for a barbecue
tongs.
And these are just what I have in my kitchen. I've used a fish slicer, anything that you can use to actually transfer the piece quickly into a piece of water, a body of water. So what I do is I use a roasting tin at home that I don't use for anything else.
And you put water in that?
Put cold water in it, have it just here, and then I can flick the piece straight into
Oh, good idea.
So that is really hot, so we won't go anywhere near it.
So the smaller pieces are probably quite a little bit more difficult to pick up, aren't they?
Yes. So you don't want to be messing about with tweezers, just straight into the water.
So where do we go from here?
So pickling next. So I'm going to tell you about what the process is for the pickling. So here's some pieces that I have fired already.
Okay.
And they've been in the pickling solution. So you can see that they look a bit like pennies, you know, like they've got a bit dirty.
Pennies, yeah.
But when we brush them, we're going to reveal the beautiful colour.
Is this going to be like that advert with the household spray?
Yes,
where they
yeah,
go,
a little bit.
the dirt is gone.
So once you've fired the piece and it's quenched in the water, it's cold, you mix some pickling. So follow the instructions on here, but basically a tablespoon of pickling into some water. It says, I think it says 16 fluid ounces of water, and as hot as you can into a glass,
a mug or
dish or a metal container.
Okay.
And then pop your piece in and let it pickle away, and that will remove the oxidized
How long
layer.
does it need to pickle for?
Between 5 minutes and half an hour.
Oh, good, fine.
So could you pass me the brush from the kit, please?
Of course.
Glamorous assistant.
I will.
And,
I'm Debbie McGee. You are Paul Daniels.
Thank you. I've never been called Paul Daniels before. I've got more hair than
Well, you are magic.
Okay, and so this brush is tough enough to get rid of any kind of residue we've got on here, so I'm just going to...
Really put your elbow into that, like you're polishing boots.
Well, you don't really have to. Can you see already?
Oh,
Compared
you
to
don't?
that one. So I'll put them side by side.
Oh, yeah, you can see the difference already.
Straight away?
Oh, that's fab.
So I'm just going to...
I'm obsessed with shoe polishing. It's the only thing I enjoy cleaning.
So now you're starting to see that beautiful... Sorry, I just got a bit of pickling smell in my throat. That beautiful salmon pink colour that you get.
Oh, yeah.
It's gorgeous. Isn't that lovely?
I love it. You know how obsessed I am with metal clay. I think it's one of the most interesting and amazing things that you can do.
There we go.
How impressed are my friends going to be when they know I can do something like this?
It's
Impressed, stroke worried when I start. Yeah, I love it.
So you can use your agate burnisher to add a bit of polish on there. And what you can also do with the torch is you can add colour with heat. So if you want to pass
colour with heat?
Pass the brick over again quickly, and I'll just show you.
Can I ask you a question, Natalia?
Yeah.
Can you, when you've got all the residue and it's on your fingers, is that something that's dangerous?
No, just wash your hands.
Is that cool now, that one, or not yet?
It's cooling down. It'll get there.
You don't want to touch it yet, though,
I'm
do
going
you?
to put my goggles on again.
It's funny how it looks like a piece of charcoal once you fired it, isn't it?
It does. If you don't put it in the water, that's the colour it goes.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally touch it with the heat. Can you see it's changing the colour?
Yes. What's it doing? What's that called?
It's just basically oxidising it. So it's doing a colour change. It's creating a patina, they call it, on the metal. So can you see it's having like an orangey look?
More like a penny now.
And then we're going to
Actually,
get...
it blackens it off a little bit, does it? Or not?
Well, it just... You get some interesting colours for me. So if I keep doing this, you see it's turning again? It's going like a pinky kind of colour.
Isn't that fabulous? Kind of...
And I'm just literally touching, and then... So I'm going to leave it at that, but you can see what's happened to that. So you can create some interesting colours on your piece. And if I can just...
And those will stay, will they, those colours?
Can you see that? Yeah, they'll stay on there. They all fade over time, so you can put a protective wax coating on them. But look at that, you get oranges and pinks, and it's lovely, isn't it?
I love it. Do you know, Natalia, it mesmerises me, the whole metal clay thing, because I really think now this is as a jeweller would do.
Yes.
You know, and when you sell your jewellery on and you have done this, and actually, if you were to have a little workshop on the go, we were talking earlier to the ladies that are on the workshop that's going on today. We do run workshops very, very often about business ideas and things like that, and how going to trade shows is one of the best things you can do. Not necessarily the ones, not necessarily craft shows, but actually trade shows. Imagine having your own stand and doing all these amazing things. You know, like they cook, and we surround them at the Ideal Home exhibition and stuff, and we want to taste the food, and we want to buy the jewellery that's being created. I think it's absolutely outstanding, and for me, this is probably one of my favourite things of all time to do
me too.
As a jewellery maker. I really, hand on heart, I'm truthful when I'm saying that, it's probably my favourite thing.
It's magical, and to me, I think there's something about creating something from scratch. And it's true artistry, and it also gives you great pleasure because there's so many stages to go through. It really fulfills that need to create and to master these skills. So it's well worth doing, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I
agree wholeheartedly. I think to be able to create your own rings, be able to create your own earrings and pendants, I just think it's amazing. So we're at the stage now where we can set this into jewellery.
Yeah, we could add findings to it. We can start to again begin the design process of saying, where will I actually place that piece of that charm or that pendant.
Because I remember you gave me once a little triangular thing with pendant with some Amazonite on it that I loved, and I've still got it.
Oh,
you've got some pieces there as well that we've got.
This is a piece where I talked about setting silver into the copper clay. And so can you see, that's copper clay.
How did you bond that? With glue?
No, what I did was I fired the copper first, and I had a hole in the middle of it. And then I filled the hole with silver, and then I fired the silver separately because they have different firing schedules. And then what I've done is I've just heated it with the torch to create this almost orange effect and this darkened antique effect. So that's quite effective, isn't it?
It looks like Medusa.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And that's just a button. That's a...
It's a button?
Yeah.
How are you going to do the button?
I used moulding putty to create the pattern.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then this one was created using, these are just craft foils. You can see that they're the...
How do you do that? Press it on?
Just press it on, roll it on with your roller, and you get this lovely effect.
Isn't that lovely?
It's really nice, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah. And
it's
so
just,
I'm
thinking
colours.
now, as a consumer, I mean, these are the kinds of buttons now. You add that to an outfit, and if you saw that in a shop with just these little details, such as this button, you add something like this onto a belt buckle. That's what we're paying our money for, Natalia.
And it's precious metal. It's not just, you know, metal coloured or aluminium. It's a precious metal.
When you see someone with a blazer like the one you've got and it's got elements of this, it looks expensive.
Definitely.
I mean, imagine them from there, buttons, just sewn. I mean, it would look designer. It would look expensive.
It would look amazing. And with
Absolutely
all the skills
love
that
it.
you get from Jewellery Maker, you know, you can add wire to things, you can really go to town and make those creations really unique.
So you've got to have a look. Everything that you're getting today with the starter kit is all for £64.95. Please don't forget, if you want Natalia's mats, we've got those for you as well. I'll give you the details for those in just a sec. The DVD is available to you for £12.95, and there's 102 or 109 minutes?
109 minutes.
109 minutes of uninterrupted Natalia. You've also got the opportunity to grab Natalia's matte stamps that she's been using today. The details for that are on the bottom of your screen right now. You've got the rubber mats, and you also get the templates with that as well.
Yes.
And you get the pick with that too.
And the cutting tool, the double-ended cutting tool.
And the double-ended cutting tool, all created specifically for your metal clay by, of course, the wonderful Natalia. Now, please don't forget that if you do get absolutely obsessed with this amazing material, as I have, book yourself in. Here's Natalia's stamp collection. Book yourself into Natalia's workshop. Natalia runs silver clay and metal clay, and you do that on a monthly basis.
Yes.
So get yourself on the phone lines and ask for Kirsty, 0800 644 655 if you want to do that. Now, don't forget, if you are shopping with us for the kit that's £64.95, get absolutely everything that you need to get going. So you get your case, you get 2 100-gram packs of metal clay, 100 grams in copper, 100 grams in the
bronze clay.
The bronze, yeah, I always forget that. The bronze, was it? And you get all the other tools, you get that amazing bum, the roller, the cards, absolutely everything you need to get yourself creating. So if you want to further your skills as a jewellery maker, take yourself from jewellery maker to jeweller, replenish your jewellery making skills as well. This is the road to go down. Absolutely. I know it's one of my favourites, taking you to loads of different avenues. Thank you so much for joining us today, Natalia.
You. And good luck, everybody, with your adventures with metal clay.
Absolutely, good luck, and please send us in your finished items in the Wall of Fame. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see your finished designs. Lots of love. Take care.